Alright, so welcome to part 2. I'll go to terrain. Okay, first tab, options. Specular. This is for allowing it and enabling and disabling terrain too, obviously. Specular, it basically defines how terrain itself in general gives specularity of. Now if I were to put lightning on 2, I think I would be able to see this, but apparently not. The effect is not really visible because it's flat terrain. Oh well. Oh, maybe if I were just to do, I don't know, it's not really it. Ah, you can see it now actually. Now this is like very direct, maybe like glass type of reflection, while this is very soft and blurred, specular. I don't know, you probably can't even turn it off. Okay, terrain anisotropy is pretty much self-explanatory. It's for anisotropy, I've explained that before. And padding is, well, as you can see, the tiles, the tiles are, they are still tiles, and if the padding is not right, they will really look like tiles. So you have to put it just about enough so the terrain looks good. Otherwise, it doesn't really have much big of a difference. Okay, tile resolution. As I've mentioned before, every map is made out of cells, and those cells are basically also tiles. And well, trying to find something. This is decent enough. Okay, every cell is made out of tiles, and tiles are the little square boxes that you can actually modify on the map. Now, every tile currently has texture resolution that is 46 pixels by 46 pixels. Turning this to 512, I would get really more detailed texture. It's not really visible here since it's a large scale texture, so I'm just gonna zoom it down. I'll factor 300, 250. Okay. This is not a good texture, so I'm gonna go with something. Oh well. 2. Okay. As you can see, looking at the floor with these settings, and these settings really make a huge difference. Of course, tile vertex size is the thing that actually sharpens the texture. As you can see, if I were to put this on 8, it will still be a bit blurry. 4 is a little sharper, 2 even more, and 1 is the sharpest kind of texture, although having this on 1, even sometimes on 2, can really bring frame rate down. So I suggest just putting this on high, and it will make it like this. This is like fairly optimized, although I like it on medium, and this on 4. Text LOD, they are basically different. As the terrain is further away, there are different LOD, level of detail, models for it. Now I'm gonna get to that later, so you can see how it will actually affect the game. Vertex density also doesn't have much influence now. Show stats, exactly, it does what it says. It basically displays all the memory. I think you can, yeah, you can also see that, oh, this is only memory for the terrain. Tiles, these are the tiles that I mentioned, and as you can see, as you go far away, the tiles are getting bigger. That's how LOD works. Oh, maybe I can show you now this. See, if I were, for example, to put this on 7, it would be really high detailed terrain more far away, and basically that's all there is to it. Having it like this would make it really high detailed terrain, although that wouldn't be good because it would lag a lot, and by a lot I mean really a lot. Atlas map is basically, it kind of displays the whole terrain in a very weird way that is beyond my comprehension actually. Atlas scale, not sure what the volume does. Now, where's the map? Oh, you can also offset the map. No, you can offset the atlas only on the screen, and this doesn't even work. Oh wow. Okay, this is pretty much useless for anything you do, and of course whenever you feel like, you can choose and resize your terrain to any desired resolution. Okay, I'm gonna try resizing it to this, and if I were to put on tiles, you can actually see how they get more detailed, while the actual resolution of the map will still stay pretty much the same. That's it for basic options. Let's go to actual tools. I'm gonna explain these for very quickly because they're very simple. Down, you kind of figured, it basically pulls the terrain down. I'm gonna explain the tools. Radius is the circle at which you can, wow, oh well, let's try again. This was unexpected. This had never happened to me before, as far as I remember, but that don't matter. Paint. Okay. There you go. Okay, so you edit terrain by holding Control key. When you hold the Control, you will actually get this gizmo, and the outer gray circle is basically the radius. Now the second one is hardness, and basically oh shit, basically the hardness defines at which part would be the most affected, and in this case the yellow rounded circle would be like the most. It's basically like in Photoshop, excuse me, not you, I'm gonna show it in Photoshop since this is the most easier way to present something like this, since they're pretty much the same thing, identical actually. Okay, now if I were to open a new file, that would be 200, doesn't matter what size, and if I use the tool, the brush tool, and hold right click, you can actually see the size and the hardness. So basically it shows off this fall of radius, which part will be most affected. Same goes for here. Strength is, well, how hard it will actually pull off according to the delta value. Now delta value is, as you can see, if I put delta value to 0 and I'm just trying to push the terrain down, it won't move, because the delta value decides how fast or how strong the terrain will be pulled down. If I were to put this on 6, as you can see, it really goes down fast. If I were to put this on 20, it reached minimum of 0 in a matter of seconds. Now I'm gonna actually leave this. As for up, same thing. You have the radius, you have the hardness, strength, And now you can also set this reposition object. Let's put an object so you can see how it actually affects objects. I'm going to use the same model I used before, industrial building that I made. I'm going to make 2 of them. Now if I were to use this tool right here, as you can see it would just pile up. But since I have reposition objects, it would pull up without a problem. Although you have to take into consideration, if you have this checked on, you can't freely move objects up. You can move them around, but you just can't pull them up. That's why you have to uncheck this, and then it'll work again. Yeah, without the reposition objects it will just go up and wouldn't actually do anything to the object. Now let's just do something about this. Pretty much the same tool, same thing, just different reversed side. It pulls the terrain up depending on how strong you set the delta value and how hard it is. With hardness to 0 it will just mainly focus on inner circle. With hardness to 1 it will just pull up a block. Now leveling. When you're in level you can hold Alt and it would, as you can see in the height on the right side, you can actually see the current position of my mouse, which height it is. With that you can actually just decide what level. For example, if I want to level everything with this 99.99, and if I were to hold Control now, these are the same functions again, I can just level out the whole map easily, just like that. And so I have done. I'm gonna put some stuff back down and some stuff back up. Just like this, and now I'm going to use smooth. Now smoothing does exactly what it's supposed to do. It smooths out the terrain, although at small radiuses it's not really useful. Now I'm going to use the bigger one, and as you can see the process of actually tweaking the terrain is very slow. For that we are going to use speed in seconds. Lower this, the lower it is, the faster smoothing will be. If it's 2 seconds, it will take 2 seconds to get some kind of a result. So I usually use it about 0.3. It gives me enough time to be able to maneuver everything properly. Now these two are same. Speed in seconds combined with strength, you can actually define speed even more. And now there is this box size /2. Basically, the bigger the box size, you'll actually see the box. If I zoom in, you should be able to see it. There it is. You can see it here. You can actually see the box, the red. It's not really a box in this situation, but you get the point. Basically, bigger the box, better the smoothing. Well, more area it will cover. For example, if I were to put this like box to 1 and smooth this, I would just smooth out basically 1 tile per tile, and if I put this to 6, it would be a much bigger smoothing radius. If I were to put this to 29, it would really start smoothing out things very fast. Now the next one, noise. It basically generates noise. You can set persistence, octaves, well, amplitude, stuff like that here. Make sure to edit minimum height and maximum height. I'm going to put this to 98 and 115. 115. Morphs per sec and height relative, you should check those. And if I were to higher up the radius, you could actually see that it it's not really that noisy, if I may say so myself. It's actually a pretty weird tool. It's because I was really far away, and it's for some reason it wouldn't affect these. Well, this is noise. This is what noise is. It's a tool that you should pretty much try to avoid because it's far from useful, and it creates things like this, which as well are far from useful. Now actually I will use this noise tool to show you how LODs for text for terrain actually work. I'm going to enable tiles, and as you can see, the further I get away, the less detailed the terrain is. And again, if I were to put text load count to 0, it would be really high detail on really long distances. This is about 200 meters, I guess, probably more, maybe 400, I think. Let's reset this to normal. As you can see, it makes big difference. Maybe not like this, but if you were to play with these on Colorado, you would have some serious trouble, frame-wise at least, if nothing else. Now ramp. Ramp is a really useful tool for creating roads on it, because what ramp does, it connects two dots and configures the height. I'm gonna ramp this floor to this right here. Now strength, radius and hardness and strength don't influence much. Actually, they don't have any influence at all. It will still do the very same thing regardless of what those settings are, so you can mainly just ignore them. As you can see, hardness on 1 does the same result with hardness on 0. Now for the ramp creation, these two are the only ones that are important, with outer and with inner. Now with outer defines the outer two lines, as you can see, and these are the fall off lines, while the with inner actually defines the line that will stay absolutely flat. And this is all that the ramp does. It basically connects to areas and smoothens out, completely smoothens out the transition from one to another. And you can make something like this to make it even more smooth. Of course, you can combine it with actual smooth. Let's put this to 4. And this way you would kind of get a nice little uphill to the mountain and downhill on the other side. And there you go. There you have a nice mountain. And it was a piece of cake to make. It rhymes. Erosion. Erosion is good for mountains, but it can also be used in flat terrain. It's basically like noise, although it has its pattern, as you can see. Pattern.tds, that is a texture file. Now let's actually try to find it. I'm gonna open up file location, go to data, pattern, erosion pattern, DDS. No, maybe it's not here. There it is. It is in data editor, and this is how the erosion will actually affect. It's a really small file, I'm surprised. This is how it would actually affect the erosion on the map itself. Now while the Photoshop opens, there it is. This is the erosion file. It's tiny, very tiny. I'm going to jack up the radius And as you can see, if I were to hold it like this, just endlessly hold it like this, it pulls down the terrain in a shape of, what the fuck, in a shape of this. The black part is actually what wouldn't be affected much, while the white part is the part that would be affected completely. And I'm already 20 minutes into the video, wow. Next, paint tool. As you can see, you can have multiple layers for terrain. You can just add them, add as many as you wish, although I don't recommend just pushing it too far because you don't actually need that many. Of course, this layer, I'm gonna use, I'm actually click rock 1, and you can combine these by clicking on them. This is the diffuse file or the texture, and this is for the normal map. Again, with control you paint. You can set the radius, strength and hardness just like any other, and if you paint it you are going to get a texture. Now as you can see, this texture cannot be used because it's very small and blurry. That's why here we have the tile factor for. Basically higher the tile factor, smaller the texture. Usually for 2000 across 48, 2000 across 48, 2048 across 2048, that's what I was trying to say. 400 is about enough, I think. Zooming in and actually changing this to be high quality. I'm gonna try spawning myself in game to actually see how big I am compared to the texture. That's where you can calculate how good or how should you blend and tile your texture. Now of course this is a bit slow and laggy, and there I am, and another crazy hat, and this looks pretty much okay to me. It's not like it can get any better in this game. Okay, back to studio. I'm gonna put this back to 2 and this back to 256. Yeah, if you have the text loads really high and you want to tile vertex size to 1 or resolution to 512, you are most likely going to get out of memory error, so just be careful with that. Back to paint. As I've mentioned before, there's also the strength. If you put strength to low, and yeah, this layer, I'm gonna put this to rock 2, will be over this layer, obviously. But this layer, if you try to paint this layer, even though you're painting newer than this one, it will not show because it is below it. And no matter what you do, you should not remove layers because it doesn't work properly. Basically, if I were to remove this layer, no, actually a better example, if I were to add a layer here, so basically there would be a new layer here and this one would be moved up, and if I wanted to paint that, I would get like these weird boxes which shouldn't really be happening. So whatever you do, just put like 10 or 15 layers of paint, paint layers, and then just paint across them. Figure out, like, speculate which layer should what be. Now next you have the material type. They are exactly what they sound like. For example, if I wanted to have the rock, actually I'm gonna put one of my dirt textures, actually gravel, yeah, gravel it is. This is one of my own textures that looks much better if tiled down. Now you can enable detail normals. It doesn't really affect anything much here, as you can see. Material heaviness also doesn't do pretty much anything here. Yeah, and you have the brush and the razor. It's pretty much self-explanatory which does what. Apart from that, you can set these to whatever you want. Now I'm gonna set this is dirt. It's not really dirt, but there's not a function for it. And now, well, for some reason it doesn't have sounds here. I am not quite sure why. So I'm gonna try putting this on every. This should be concrete, concrete, also concrete, and this should be grass. Yeah, well, it still doesn't have sounds, even though it should be. Even though it should have. I have actually, this version of the studio actually has fixed sounds for terrain. Now another thing regarding the hardness, you can actually blend layers like this. If I were to put hardness on 0.7 is quite fine, and if I wanted to paint something, oh, I'm not painting anything. I wanted to paint the sand texture, I can slowly blend it, and as you can see at this point both textures would be pretty much visible, and that's how you can blend two different textures together or more depending on what you're looking for. Oh, this is very ugly. This is pretty much it for painting. At the end of the video I'm gonna show you how does my map look like, how it actually has layers sorted out. Now I'm going to color. What color does is actually I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm not quite sure now which is the file that I'm looking for. There are actually quite a few that have, there are basically white, completely white textures, and I'm trying to find a good example of that to show you. This is it. Okay, test sandy soil. As you can see, this is completely white. Or is it? Yeah, it's white. I think this is, yeah, this is too. It should be dirt actually, but as you can see it's pretty much blank, outright white texture. And for these kind of textures, this is actually the same method that is being used in CryEngine 3 to be precise, and you can combine colors with this. If you put everything to 1, that is like painting normal, everything is 1 or 255, basically white color. And if I wanted to make it red or cyan, I could easily paint cyan and paint it like this. It would be a bit bleached out, a bit more bleached out white. For example, if I wanted to actually make this dirt, now I have no idea what color is dirt. I don't know. I still have Photoshop running. No, I don't. Oh well. This should be, there we go, and it's kind of like dirt, and that's the point of using this kind of texturing. I can make everything dirt, everything is dirty, and that's pretty much it. You can also configure color maps. For example, if you have a terrain that should have some kind of specific coloring, you can easily configure it here. That's it for color, and now there's height map. Now height maps are actually what defines a map. For this example I'm going to export this map, and as you can see, save to data, terrain data, height maps, test map, export, and I'm going to No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to navigate to that folder, which should be data, terrain data, height maps. And there it is, test map export. I'm going to open it. It's going to open up in Photoshop. Since it's also a DDS texture, although these are special DDS textures, they are not, as you can see, it's pixel format R32F. It's not 8-bit, it's 32-bit. Load flip vertically. All texture height maps and textures are flipped vertically. You have to pay attention to that. Now to show you, as you can see, it's 32 bits per channel. That means the channels are, well, in this case they're gray, because this only goes from white to black. And if I were to, I don't know, do something like not use brush, I guess. Why can't I use brush? Huh. I can't even edit this. Oh well, doesn't really matter. You can easily import other maps. For this example, I'm going to import Colorado. And well, this may not look like it, but this is actually how a Colorado map looks like. Now, come on, let's try to find something familiar. I don't know which way is. I think this might be, yeah. If it were Colorado, right here there would be Delta Ranger Police Station. Goblin Peak would be right over this hill, and the rest of the map. As you can see, you can easily export and import all different kinds of height maps. Now, these height maps are also defined by its offset and scale. Offset is what pushes the map either up or down, just plain vertically. And this is from the most bottom layer, from 0. Terrain scale is, well, as it says, what is the maximum height. If I were to put this to 5 meters, and if I were to import a height map, the most highest point on the map would be 5 meters, while the most lowest part of the map would be 0. And well, this is pretty much it for the terrain modifications. You can customize, test out, combine. You can actually even work with World Machine. This is actually the same method Hammerpoint made when they used this when they made a new Colorado map. Now, as I said before, I'm going to show you a bit of my map, how my map's terrain looks like. So again, I'm loading the map. Okay, there we have our map. Well, my map, my bad, it's mine. Well, kind of, I made it. And this is the full scale of the map, which is about 5 kilometers. And if I were to zoom in, you can actually see how textures are pretty much blended. They may not look like that at low quality, but they pretty much are. And to show you terrain v2, I actually have, what is 5, 10, 20, about 20 layers, from which 2 are empty. I have the base layer, which is like some random grass, shallow dirt, forest, and the map texture that I actually use to create all of the roads. Basically have some footing. There's the airport. There's the other airport. Some military bases here and here. And there's gonna be a fire station right here, as you can see. I don't know how many of you saw this, but yeah, an open fire station is really nice. Guess who made it? Me. Now with this I will end this video, because it's pretty much everything there is to it about terrain v2, terrain modifications, and how to set up terrain properly, how to work with it. So I hope you'll learn something, and I know this video was very long, but at least it was detailed, so I apologize for that at least, and have fun mapping.